And welcome back. We're about to jump into our first segment now. This one is very interesting. Behind the scenes was extremely interesting. It's actually International Working Dog Center, IWDC. We'll be doing some dog training this morning. This is the reason why you see this this Belgium Malawa. Her name is Bibi. Bibi,
Yes.
right? All right, that's Bibi. And her trainer is actually Amy Zamora. We've got some demonstration. Amy, it's so nice to see you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
And it's a fun Friday, and so I'm sure that, yeah.
Good morning, Bibi.
Bibi, good morning. Bibi will be doing some tricks for us, right?
Yes.
Hi, Bibi, good morning.
She's just like, I've been told to lie down, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yes.
I think she's just tired. She's been up since 4 o'clock this morning.
Really? My gosh, man. My gosh.
Amy, we have to find out more about your story. You are actually the owner of International Working Dog Center.
Yes.
Wow.
Tell us about how you ventured into this business.
Well, I've always been a dog advocate. I am for dogs and about dogs, and my partner and I we love dealing with everything around dogs.
Okay.
So I realized that people here are really, really scared of dogs.
Yeah.
I was born and raised here, but it's really hard to get, like even when I take her out, people are like, oh, please hold your dog because, they're really, really scared of them. And it made me realize that we need to educate ourselves a little bit more about dogs and how they are. And then even if you socialize your dogs with people, even if you socialize your dogs with other dogs, the dog will still try to protect you if something is happening to you. But it all depends on how you are with the dog, how you raise your dog. And one of the things I always said, I've never had a dog lie to me, never had a dog steal from me, cheat on me, hurt me, I talk to my dogs like they're humans. I really do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got into it just basically because maybe when I was about maybe 16, 17, my mom always told me I missed my calling. I mean, I studied everything else you can think about before I really decided to venture off into this and learn grooming, dog training, animal behavior, and be an animal psychologist. All of that comes into play with being hands-on with the dog.
Wow.
That is such an interesting professional decision, career decision to make in Belize, because I think we're just starting to see where there is a population of Belizeans who are taking care of their animals, but there's still a very large population that doesn't.
Yes.
And so it must be very challenging to be able to go off and say, okay, I'm going to become an animal psychologist and learn to train dogs and open a training center and have faith that there will be sufficient business.
Yes. Well, the business is still fairly new.
Yeah.
We've only been open for about a year now, but it is very challenging, especially when people come to my kennels and go, you little tiny thing, you're dealing with all these big dogs. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I think it's really kind of impressive to see someone really tiny dealing with dogs. It makes you understand that pretty much anybody can deal with any size dog if the dog's being trained right and things are done right with the dog.
Yeah, no, and one of the things that, and I was telling Marlene this morning, I see the dog outside, and where I came from.
And
where
first thing he said was, "Oh no, it's a big dog."
It's a big dog, So that's my mentality. That's my mentality. But I've watched a lot of Cesar Millan as well, and he would tell you exactly, you know what, you're the boss when it comes to dealing with a dog, and you actually have a good friendship relationship with them because this is what they want. So my question to you is, what is the relationship between a human and a dog?
Wait, baby. Go say hi then.
Come. Yes.
The relationship and
Can't
a
get
lot
enough
of
of Marlene.
no, she's really obnoxious. She loves attention. She gets attention all day long, and she still prefers it when other people are around. But the relationship between a human and a dog, and a lot of people don't like this analogy, but it's the same between humans and kids. They respond and they react the same way. She's 9 going on 10, and she still behaves like a 2-year-old. She's mentally a 2-year-old, and this is what you always have to remember. As an animal lover, as a dog lover, she will be a permanent 2-year-old mentally, no matter how amount of training she gets, no matter how amount of training the dog is or how well behaved the dog is. Sometimes they will still throw tantrums. They will still push your buttons. They know they're not supposed to do things, but they will still do it. Like you tell a child not to touch the hot stove. The minute you turn their back, they go ahead and they touch it.
They touch it.
They do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And then in terms of trying to get your dog to actually be as obedient or actually having that close relationship, because this is impressive to me. I've never seen it like this. No, for real. So at what age do you start training this dog or the dog or any dog to eventually be the way you want it to be? From birth or from it was weaned at this particular age?
Well, BB started doing training maybe when she was about 1 year old.
Okay.
That's when the company got her. But what also, we start puppies from the time they hit about 12 weeks.
Okay.
But here, some people don't usually get their dogs until they're maybe 12 weeks old. Sometimes they get them too young too. But I require that you have the dog at least for a month, that you're able to bond with the dog. The dog knows what it means to have a nice home. The dog knows what it means to have an owner. All of these things is what I require when you start training a dog. And if you start a puppy at about 4 months old, if you start a puppy if you start a puppy from about 4 months old, you maybe only get 5 to 10 minutes to teach that puppy what you want the puppy to do.
Yeah.
And then a butterfly passes by and the dog will go, oh, butterfly. And then, or a leaf pass by and they want to go ahead and run behind it.
Yeah.
So you really have to be really patient with them and doing stuff like that with them. So I'm sorry, she's shedding like crazy.
No, she just came push my hand up just to try
That's
to
how
get
she is, and if you stop petting her, she'll just do this. She'll bump your head up again, and like I'm here, and nobody told you to stop, you silly human. You need to go ahead and do it.
Now, and this is important because that's what I wanted to get at. There are different types of training that you offer, and tell us a bit about what BB is trained for.
BB is a protection dog. She does bite work. You see how...
What does that mean?
She will attack someone on command.
Oh, for real?
So yeah, but she's what we call a light switch dog. She's very, very social. I can trust her with my nephew and with my other kids in my family. Other kids come around and they pet her, you know, and I love that because they get to see not all dogs will hurt you, not all dogs will bite you, you know. But she is to the point where when we opened up the company, one day we did a demonstration with them just so people can see what they can do. And one little girl, we asked for a volunteer, and one little girl, she's maybe about 6 years old, I want to help. So we told her, okay, you can take the leash and go and hold the dog in the corner. At the end of the demonstration, we completely forgot the little girl was at the corner. And this really tall guy wanted to come up and see BB, and she got nervous. The little girl got nervous just holding the leash in the corner. She doesn't know the little girl. It's the first time she's ever met her. But because she got nervous, BB felt it, and she has a tell before she actually lounges at somebody. And my partner and I saw it, and we go, wait, 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 wait. And then we told the little girl, it's okay, he just wants to see the doggy. And she goes, oh, okay. And then she calmed down. BB started calming down as well. And then we went ahead and we allowed him to come in and walk to see the dog. But with the protection as well, what we've done is we've trained them to go and attack perps. She's actually walked a beat in the US with my business partner. He has taken her out on walks, let her out on perps. You know, if someone's running in a vicinity where you can't fire off a gunshot, this is what you use. And Belgian Malinois are really nice and slim and fast dogs. They're really intelligent. However, because of their intelligence, they are really difficult to own. BB is probably the exception to a lot of Malinois.
So you train dogs for security purposes only?
No, we do for pets too. We train them to do sit, come, stay, how to walk on a leash, you know, because people, sometimes you see them walking around with big chains wrapped around their arm, their dog's pulling them.
The dog's walking them.
Yeah, the dog's walking them basically. So, but we train them to do that, and people would call us for advice about how to get their dogs to stop doing certain things. We do house calls with people to help them understand, you know, what they're probably doing wrong to trigger off their dog's behavior. So like, you know, yapping little dogs at the doors and so on, and how to get them to stop.
And house training, which is always a difficult one?
Well, house training we don't really do, just because sometimes dogs don't, by the time they come to us, that's Gunnar and Zelda at a younger age. Well, what we do with them is we advise you what to do with your dog. Just because up until about 13, 14, maybe 15 weeks, sometimes your dogs haven't had all their shots and they can get sick. And if they come to our kennels, our dogs are walking the street all the time. And sometimes and even with our shoes, we bring in certain bacteria and certain viruses, and the puppies can get sick while with us at our kennels. So we advise that we we teach you on the phone how to go ahead and potty train your dog. Or if you want, we can go in and show you what you need us to do.
Can you train any dog to be a dog like this one? Can we train it like for instance a pit bull? Most people, we've got the mindset that a pit bull that's not a good dog. That's the mindset that we've got. Can you turn this around for us, please?
Yeah, well, like I said, dogs are they're like kids. It's how they're brought up. It's how they are trained. It's how they are, the structure they have in their life and their discipline that they have in their life. So a pit bull is no different from BB. Mm-hmm. No different. A pit bull is no different from a German Shepherd, and a pit bull is no different from a Chihuahua. Mm-hmm. It's just the only thing that's different about dogs is their temperament.
Yeah.
Of how hyper they may be. You know, but pit bulls, if you look at the history of pit bulls are actually nannies. Mm-hmm. They were nannies. They were taking care of kids. Wow. You know, and we've come to this concept that pit bull are aggressive dogs and that they'll attack our kids. Yes. And you know, but it's just because it's people. Yeah. It's our mindset of how we have handled the dog. Mm-hmm. But pit bulls I would never do for bite work. Yeah. Because when they bite or when they get to, I know other trainers may do it, but I personally don't because I cannot control a dog that we can, you know, and pit bulls are too stocky. Yeah. They're not as fast as we need them to be to actually run at somebody. Yeah. You know, they're not as slim and they're not built for it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But they are not aggressive dogs. Again, it's just how you bring them up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, what do you find to be the number one mistake that people make with their dogs? Mm-hmm. What is the one misconception that they have that we can take the opportunity to dispel today?
There's actually two.
Okay, two.
One with little dogs. People tend to humanize dogs a lot, which means they treat the dogs like it's their actual child. Uh-huh. And if you don't understand the temperament of the dog, then you won't be able to understand how to control your dog. You won't be able to understand your dog's needs. Mm-hmm. For example, Chihuahuas, they're very, very hyper. Mm-hmm. They're very yappy dogs, and a lot of people don't like them because they are yappy. Yeah. But they make
a whole lot of noise. Oh yeah. And they think they're pit bulls. Yeah. Everybody.
It's called little dog syndrome. It's actually a thing. With the little dog syndrome, they think that they can take on just about anything and anybody in the whole wide world. Yeah. I have one at home, and we have to control her a lot. So we have to go and enough or quiet, and she has to realize you're allowed to bark outside. Yeah. In the house, you're not allowed to bark. If you bark inside, you bark with a purpose. There has to be someone at the gate, or there has to be something that's actually happening for you to bark, but you don't bark for too long. You go outside. But this all comes along with having to structure the dog, and you're not able to structure something that small if it doesn't have discipline from the very beginning, and if you're humanizing it.
If you're carrying it like a baby.
Yeah, and that's one of the things too with small dogs, why people have that problem with them, because they're carrying the dog up like this all the time instead of making the dog walk. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong if the dog gets tired, you pick the dog up, but you pick it up that you have it to this side of your body, right at your hip, so when the dog's being introduced to people, they're not snapping. Because if you do this, the puppy feels like they're being protected and that, oh, mom is holding me away from somebody. Yeah. You know, or whoever is holding me, they're holding me away from that person, they're protecting me, and so I have to lash out because they're going to hurt me or they're going to hurt my human. So this is why you find a lot of dogs snap. The second thing is people tend to get dogs that they don't understand what the dog was bred for. Mm-hmm. They don't understand the purpose of a dog. For example, a lot of people have huskies here. Mm-hmm. I am not a believer of having huskies here in Belize because the temperature and the weather is really bad for them.
Or chows.
And chows. Yeah. Chows, on the other hand, I call them the bipolar dogs of the dog world. Yeah. Because a chow, you can be petting a chow and stop for like about 2 minutes, and you go back, they'll snap. Yeah. So a chow is, I would say people would need to do a lot of training with chows to get them to a point where they can get them to socialize. Mm-hmm. And dogs like that, you do need to socialize from a very early age with other people. Yeah. Because we have this misconception that I want a guard dog. Yeah. So I am keeping my dogs away from people.
Yeah, so they look for big, scary dogs too.
And
like
to be very honest, here in Belize, there aren't any guard dogs. Yeah. I can pretty much go into any person's yard with maybe a protection suit on just to be on the safe side, because 85% of dogs want to be followers. 85% of dogs are not leaders. They're not alphas. And a lot of people think that they're dogs barking at the fence, that they're alphas and that they're territorial, and it's not so, because half the time you walk in the yard and you just go crazy at the dog and you scream at the dog takes off running, because the dog has never been challenged a day in its life.
Yeah.
The dog has learned, I go to the gate, I bark, and so people back off.
Yeah.
So that's what they've learned. It's just a noisy dog. It's not a dog that is actually protecting you or protecting your yard.
What's the best what's the weaning weight or weaning time for a dog? 4, 6 weeks, 8 weeks? Because, and I'm saying this because there are a lot of times you see people with little puppies and they try to feed them something that they shouldn't be eating at the time.
Yeah.
And they wonder why the dog doesn't get to where they want it to be in terms of size.
We
So
see
what's
this
that?
a lot. I remember this was an issue online at one point, and I was trying to tell people there's a certain amount of time the puppy has to be with its mother.
Yes.
Yeah.
So please explain why to the public.
Well, the mom has most of the nutrients that the
course.
puppy needs to be getting from it. And the weaning process takes a few weeks for it to actually be done.
Yeah.
A puppy should not start weaning until they hit maybe between 6 to 8 weeks. Most of us here in Belize tend to get our puppies at 6 weeks.
Which is
Or less.
Which the puppy is being taken away from its mom. And the puppy actually, you should actually start making sure that the dog's eating properly and pooping properly and peeing properly before you actually have before the dog goes to its forever home.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that, then the dog will have a ton of complications, and it's harder for the dog and on the puppy's body. So the puppy won't get the development it needs.
Yeah.
And just like with breast milk, there's a lot of benefits to it that humans get, and it helps to build up their immune system. It gives them some time. So a puppy really shouldn't leave their mom until they hit, or wean off of their mother until they hit about 8 weeks old. And you need to make sure that puppy's eating for at least 3 to 4 weeks before the puppy goes to its new owner.
Yeah.
So the puppy is about 12 weeks old when you're supposed to give the puppy away to somebody else.
And a lot of people like to do it at 1 month or 6 weeks,
6 weeks,
exactly,
yes.
as you spoke of. And I once read about how it affects the temperament of the dog as well, because the mother teaches the dog
Yes.
proper bite behavior.
Yes.
Which is why you
Yes.
hear mother dogs barking at their puppies.
Yes. Yes.
And so if they don't learn that, then they don't know how hard they can bite and play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why we do have a lot of problems with our puppies when we have our puppies. And it's cute at first because you see a cute little thing squinching up its nose, growling and snapping. But that's a behavior you're rewarding, because right after that you go and you pet the dog, and all you're telling the dog is you can keep doing it.
Yeah.
You can keep doing it.
I've seen, and I'm guilty of it. I'll tell you this much. Like I mentioned, where I came from, this is what we did. You get a puppy, and what you do, you continuously grab it at the side just to hear it growl, because this is what you want to do. And we don't know that it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
At this particular point, we're feeling, you know what, this is a good thing. This dog is going to be a guard dog. It's going to be, when in reality, it's not. Then you get another puppy and you try to put them together and you rough them up like this, and they tend to want to fight. At this time again, we're thinking, man, I'm actually raising something. Then we try to give them scorpion tail. And these things, because we feel that,
yes, I know about the first two examples, but not the scorpion.
We feel that, or pepper, because we feel that this dog is going to be a bad dog. I'm telling you what happens here. I'm telling you what happens here. And it happens a lot because we feel that we will have a bad dog and nobody's going to come in our yards. Now, what's the best breed to have in a tropical climate like we've got here?
Well, all dogs take some time to acclimate to the weather. But I mean, if you really want a really nice family dogs, yes, I know, I'm sorry. I'm not paying any attention to you. I'm really sorry. Yes. But you have to wait. No, you have to wait. Okay? Thank you. What tends to happen is, well, a really good family dog would be, I would not recommend Malamas. I really wouldn't recommend, because Malamas at a puppy age, they are like 10 German Shepherd puppies in one dog.
Really?
Yeah. German Shepherd dogs are really nice to have here too. They acclimate pretty good to our weather here. Labrador Retrievers are probably one of my favorite dogs, just because they're really easy to train.
Yeah.
Labs are the type of dogs where, wait, don't go anywhere, you have to wait, okay? Just a second, let me do with her. Can you down? Down? Down. Thank you. Just wait a second, all right? We'll get to you in a minute, okay? Just wait. Labradors are the type of dogs where I can pretty much give them a textbook to go into their rooms and read at night. They come out the next day like they know everything.
Wow.
You know, they learn really, really fast.
Yeah.
They are very food driven, Malinois at least, but most dogs are. I mean, if you wave a piece of sausage in front of their face, they will want it. Or and that's what we tend to use for the beginning of our training. Other good dogs are golden retrievers. A lot of people in the dog world call them golden retards, but it's just because they are people pleaser. They're very happy-go-lucky dogs. They're very goofy dogs to have, but they're really good to have with kids. Yeah. Pit bulls are another good one to have in our climate, especially because when you were petting her earlier, so much hair was coming off, and she gets brushed off almost twice a week, 2-3 times a week, and it's just because of the weather. Yeah. The weather plays a lot on their fur. So imagine a husky in a weather like this that's been born in Belize, that's used to having the heat, and then this weather happens, they shed like crazy because their winter coat starts to come in the minute everything starts to change off. Yeah. So dogs, I would say short-haired dogs would work a lot here in our climate. Yeah. Really fluffy dogs would not work well at all.
One more question I have.
Sure.
Go ahead.
And I need to get this into
he
perspective.
He wanted to raise his hand even.
What in the world is a potlicker?
A potlicker is basically a mutt. It's just as long as you cannot trace back the lineage of the dog, as long as it has more than three breeds in the dog, then that's a potlicker. That's a mutt, basically.
I love when you get the Chihuahua, Poodle, Pomeranian, Shih Tzu, something else mixed. No, it's already a potlicker. It's just a small one.
Yeah.
But okay, so I think we've spoken about quite a number of things, but I want to go back to the business side of things. How has it been going how long have you been opened, and how has it been going so far?
It was very, very slow in the beginning. It's taken some time because we actually, Facebook doesn't really work for us, which is why our Facebook page isn't really active. We actually have to go out, and this is why I like taking the dogs out with me, because the dogs speak for themselves with how well behaved they are. And then a lot of people come up to you and it also helps to educate people seeing a dog this size. In Belize, this is considered a big dog. At my kennels, she's one of my smallest dogs, aside from my Chihuahua at home. But she is pretty much one of my smallest dogs, aside from my 7-month-old Malinois, which is probably about maybe halfway her body. So no, you need to stop.
She wants some attention.
Yeah, she wants attention. She's not used to me talking and not petting her or giving her attention, so she wants some attention. Like I said earlier, my dogs are the most obnoxious dogs.
And this is key to what you were saying before, because different dogs are trained for different things. If you see a canine dog, for example, they wouldn't be begging for attention this much because they're trained for something differently.
Not necessarily. Because she is trained for canine.
Okay.
She is titled, she is registered.
Wow.
Her bloodline is actually from Holland.
Okay.
But she was picked specifically because this is what we wanted her for. When you're going into for protection dogs or working dogs in a whole, you need to look for specific breeds, and that's one of the challenges I've been having here in Belize, with teaching people that not just because you have a German Shepherd and I have a German Shepherd, let's go ahead and cross them. No, that's not how it works.
You have to look at the temperaments.
No, you have to look at the temperament of both parents and what you would like to have in the puppy, what you would like to have. Like, for instance, when we do breeding for working dogs, specifically for bite work or for police work, we look at if we want the mother's body or the father's body with the mother's brain. And the temperament of that parent and the temperament of the other dog. And then we have to do blood work, you have to do x-rays, especially for the mom. You have to x-ray the hips to make sure that everything is okay with the bones and everything. And there's certain structures that you need to look for a dog, because every dog breed has a specific standard that it needs to meet, especially if you want to go into show work. There's specific things that you have to look for.
So when you say protection dog, for example, she will protect whoever is holding her leash. That's what you were saying earlier. And not necessarily does it mean she's going to go after every person who approaches you?
No. Most of the time she has to wait for the command.
Okay.
But most of the times when something starts to happen, dogs work off of vibrations. So depending on how you feel, and it doesn't even have to be me holding the leash.
They have a sense.
They just sense how you work, which is why when the earthquakes are happening, dogs picked up on it very fast. And they will warn you at least 5 to 10 minutes before it happens, which gives you time.
What happened when, because from last week. What happened when before that earthquake?
She was circling my house like crazy. Her partner, our other Malama, he was downstairs. He can't really go up the stairs much, but he barked and he barked. And there's a different type of bark. There's a different type of cry that you get to do, that they do.
Yeah.
So they do warn us and they do let us know ahead of time that something's going to happen.
Wow.
My family has a German Shepherd that does that before. She hates the garbage truck. Hates it. But before we can even hear it, she starts circling the yard.
Yeah.
So we know it's coming.
The garbage truck.
The garbage truck. She hears it long before
wait.
we can see or hear it. She just starts circling and we know it's coming soon.
Yeah.
If a dog is barking at you behind its fence, what do you do if you're outside, you're having a conversation and this dog is barking? Is it best to just turn your back and not give it any attention, or see your face?
You turning your back is exposing yourself to the dog. You have to think like the dog when you do something like that. Don't turn your back to the dog, but also don't look. A lot of the dogs don't like being looked in their eyes.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't recommend you going and looking in every dog's eye. Some dogs would actually turn away and walk away, but it's all about your vibrations and your feeling that you are giving off.
Yeah.
So,
Which is why they say dogs can sense fear.
Yes. Yes, I had an incident last week because we do a lot of training in Reimer's store because we're right on the same property as them. And I like using there because people are walking around. There's different dog senses, different dog food. So you get to, and there's different people walking around. So it's a lot of distractions for the dog, but then you see the puppy just looking straight at you because, okay, if I do it, I get treats. If I do it, I get treats. And that's what a dog realized. And treats doesn't necessarily mean food, but they get attention.
Yeah.
And a dog will do anything to get attention, whether it's negative attention or positive attention. So this is one of the reasons why I train in the store, because the dog gets to pick up on so many different vibrations that me as a handler can correct and control if the dog doesn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, or if the dog is, so that the dog doesn't go at that person or goes at that child. The dog is being exposed to so many different things. And this is why you do certain things when you're going to be training. Yeah. So if you have a dog barking at the fence, ignore the dog. If you keep looking at the dog and correcting the dog, and the dog's not used to being corrected, and the owner's going, shut up, be quiet. All you're doing is doing this. The dog's barking, you're being loud, and it's just gonna go higher and higher and higher and escalate. So most of the times I just advise, ignore the dog, or sometimes there's just this invisible line that the dog does not want you to pass, and you just back up a little bit, and eventually you'll find the dog will calm down. And when you take, and it's just tiny little steps that you're taking back, and the dog will eventually calm down from attacking the fence, I should say.
Wow.
So what kind of work have you been doing so far? Has it
mostly obedience training, where it's just the basic obedience for pets. I do not train protection dogs for personal households, just because I do not want to be held liable, because I don't know what you will do with that dog after you leave from my kennels. I don't want you get upset with somebody and you decide to set the dog on somebody. No, I will not be held responsible for that, and I will not put a dog in that situation.
Okay.
So for protection work, it's mostly for canine, but they have been trained. Actually, my business partner came into Belize to actually train our canine program and help the guys bring it up to where they are now.
Wow.
And so we've done it for resorts who need protection dogs, and a lot of the times their handlers are ex-Marines or they're ex-Navies.
Okay.
So there's always somebody with the dog. A lot of times a dog, she will not respond unless she gives the command to go. So somebody has to be with the dog to give that person the command to go. We actually train drug dogs for hotels as well. We actually have a drug dog that we got back, and he's actually a dual trained dog. He's a bite dog and a drug dog. We actually have an explosives dog, which is my Labrador, and she's probably one of the only explosives dog. I think maybe there's only one more here in Belize.
Okay.
Where she can smell pretty much anything. I mean, if you put it in the ceiling, she'll pick it up because their nose are that good.
Really?
Yeah, and I don't have to walk her on leash. I can just give her the command and just point. And but again, she's 10 going on 11. She has so many years experience in it.
Yeah.
But we do it mostly for companies who will need it and will have a handler. And that handler, I need to train how to work with that dog as well, because at the same time, you will not be abusing a dog or hitting a dog or putting a dog in its cage, because we have this mentality that if we put the dog in the cage and we tease it, it'll get aggressive.
Yeah.
Not all dogs are like that. Some dogs will just cower. And if you have a Malama or a German Shepherd who is 60, 80, 90 pounds, imagine that coming at you, and that dog is trained to bite and hold.
Yeah.
I mean, bite and hold onto your arm and won't let go until you stop. And the handler will tell you, don't move. I know it hurts, but don't move. And the minute you stop moving, we can tell the dog to out, and then the dog will release you so that we can take care of you.
Okay.
But if you keep swarming around, the dog will hold you because that's how the dog has been trained.
Yeah. So you don't do protection for public. That's comforting. So how does the obedience training work?
Well, we do it two ways. Whether you come in for 6 to 8 weeks and you do at least an hour session for the week.
Okay.
And you get homework when you go home because what we teach you to do, you need to practice with that dog.
Yeah.
So we teach you how to read your dog's body. We teach you how to understand your dog's language, how to avert certain situations, and how to walk your dog on a leash, how to get your dog to stay and wait at the gate before you walk out. All those things, and how to sit, come, heel, stay, and how to lay down, and so on, how not to jump on the furniture, not to jump on you, not to jump on people. All of that gets done within a period of 6 to 8 weeks, and you get to teach your dog how to do this, which I prefer people doing that because you get to understand the dog a little bit more.
And you have more people understanding how to work with dogs as well.
Right.
This is impressive.
Well, Bibi, I know that you feel like you have been neglected, right? Yeah? You should see her face. You feel like you've been neglected, Bibi? Yeah? Okay, it's your time to shine. Amy, what are you going to show us this morning?
Just the basic obedience.
Okay.
And she has been trained with treats, and I'll just show you guys how we do it with the treats, but she prefers a thing that we call a tug. Because she's a bite dog, she just prefers to be able to bite stuff and carry stuff around her mouth. So, but she's not a very scary dog.
No, she's not. She's a sweetheart.
Hey,
she's very nice.
It's your turn.
All right, come on, baby.
Take her over,
Let's go.
yeah.
Wait, let's go. Okay, can you come here? Here. Sit. Good girl. Wait. Stay.
Let's hope she won't get camera shy, right?
I don't think she's really camera shy. So these are just basically hot dog sausages that we cut up. We use hot dog sausages, and we use like cheese, anything that's a quick bite. Biscuits are not a good way to train your dog just because you lose concentration for them. So, Bibi, come here. Bibi, sit. Yes. And we use the word yes. Yes is a marker that we use from the very beginning where the dog learns, oh, I hear the word yes, I've done something good, so I just wait. The way we train for obedience, the way we train for obedience is it's a game. They get very excited. So all our dogs that we train are exactly like this.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to tell her down, but we also use hand signals. Yes, sweetheart, just wait. Down. Yes, good girl. That's a good girl. Stay. Stay. And I can walk anywhere in this room, and I can walk all the way behind you guys and have her stay. Like I can come over this side, stay, sit, stay. Until I call her back over here.
Are on you.
Come here. Yes, good girl. Sit. Yes, that's a good girl.
Okay.
So let's turn around. Sit and stay. Stay. So now this is the tug that I was talking about. This is what she likes. Wait. But also
more than food?
More than the food. If I take out the Kong right now and let the Kong run around, she will go ballistic.
Yeah.
But this is because she's a bite dog, and this is what we've used to train with her. So Bibi, here. So this is what we do with them, and we just basically do this, and we have them hold it, and we just pull them around, but you never move it up and down because you can hurt the dog's neck.
Yeah.
So we go from side to side, and so when you're a decoy and the dog's running behind you, we actually have to train the decoy how to do it with the dog. I mean, it's really hard. You still feel a bite through the suit, and it hurts.
Yeah.
But, okay, out. Iblau. 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 Yes, good girl. And I won't have her jumping up and down around because she gets really, really worked up and really excited with this. Out. Enough. That's it. Stay. And I can walk away, and I control playtime. This for her is play. So, and then even with this.
Uh-oh.
Here we go. Go get it.
She's sliding
Good girl.
on the floor.
Come here. Brings. Out. You want it? I prefer this over a ball because it's pure rubber, so it bounces up and down and keeps the dog's attention. Okay, out. Good girl, enough. And so, but I have to tell her enough or that's enough and hide it because she gets really, really, really excited about whatever else she's doing.
Yeah.
And so, okay, here. Yeah. So, but even, like for example, too, we train in German. You can train in any language. I've started training her in Spanish, just
she's attacking the tree.
yeah, she's picking up the rest of the sausages I dropped there.
Yeah.
We train her in
German
as well. So like when we're walking around or when we're in the field, I prefer to use a German because people will go ahead and start shouting at the dog, come, sit, down, you know, different things like that. And one of the reasons why we use one word commands is just, hey, baby, come here, sit and wait. One of the things that we do is, what are you doing? Just wait. One of the things that we do with the dogs is we take them out in public areas when we're training, just so that they get used to people shouting at them. And what we've done with a lot of our dogs is we take, we blast off like sirens and gunfire in their kennel area so that they're used to all these sounds. I know. All right, come on, stay.
So you train people how to do these types of games with their dogs?
Yeah, we do sometimes. If they want us to teach their dogs to like come and fetch and so on, it makes it easier for them, especially for dogs that are hyper, like for huskies. A lot of people have huskies and they're wondering why their huskies are tearing through their sofas. This is going to help take out their energy so much more. Or if you are, like if you want to plow your farm, guess what? Put a harness on your husky and put the plow machine on them and just have them pull. Huskies were bred to sled. They were bred to pull stuff. So it's easier for them to go ahead and just pull things.
Something.
This is why it's very important for you to understand the dynamics of what you want your dog to do. The breed of the dog and what they had.
So if somebody has a pet that is disobedient, that perhaps barks too much, maybe attacks the wrong people, can they come to you? Is that a service that you offer?
Yes.
That's ideally what you want to work with, right?
This is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this business.
Like the Caesar Milan type of approach. I know not all dog trainers like Caesar Milan. That's
no, I actually really, really like him because he makes you know from the very get-go, I am not a dog trainer, I'm an animal behavioralist. There's a difference. And it's very important to understand the dynamics of the dog and the psychology of the dog before you can do any sort of training with the dog. And he has very good control over his pack. Exercise, discipline, affection is one of my slogans that I like using because it's very, and in that order, because you cannot discipline unless you have that excess energy built out. So if you're gonna be doing a training session with the dog, let the dog run around and be a dog and be crazy and be happy for a minute or two. And then you can go ahead into a training session. And the way we do it is, when we start off training, it's called marker training. And this is why we use the sausages. So all I do, and you won't really necessarily see it with Bibi right now because she's already used to this, but you go, come here, and you go over here, yes, good girl. And then you just move around in the room, come here, yes, good girl. That's basically what we do. And we do that about 30, 40 times until the dog understands the word yes just means as long as you have your attention, you get to do something and you get sausages. The dog has to be able to understand you need to do something in order to get a reward. And the reward is either sausages or getting affection. And then, come here, babe. What we do with sit is we take our hands and we put it over the dog's head. Yes. And most dogs are too lazy to walk up and back up. So you see them do this with their heads until they follow, and their butt hits the floor. And you're not even saying any commands. All you're saying is the word yes. Because you've already marked good behavior with the word yes. And to get them to down, and then after that you just put your hand over their head 30, 40 times again. And then when the butt starts to hit the floor, then you go yes. And then you can add the SIT, which every time the butt hits the floor, you just go sit, yes, sit, yes, every time their butt hits the floor. And then after that, you can take your hand and just do this, yes, not adding any command. And most dogs, they'll take some time to figure out and they'll sniff around and they'll try to get the sausages out of your hand. Excuse you. And then you can start adding the word down, yes. And with stay, all we do is stay, 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 and then take a step back in the beginning and
Until
go
they start to
stay,
understand.
stay. And every time they
know.
stay, you don't tell them come to you. You walk to the dog and tell them yes and give them their treat. Because if you tell the dog to come to you, that's defeating the purpose of staying.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the same with heel. Heel just basically means you come right here behind my leg, but you're not allowed to walk in front of me. So heel, you just do heel, yes. And the dog can be walking with you off leash, and this is a good way to teach your dog to walk off leash. The dog can be roaming around, and you can call the dog and say, come here, and then go heel and start walking. So you're basically just going heel. So I just put my hand down with the sausages in my hand because they've already got the scent and they already know the sausages in my hand that they can start doing these things.
Wow.
And it becomes really, really fun. Even calling your dog back and forth. You can stand on one side of the room, I stand on one side of the room, and you just go, come here, and you baby talk like you're fishing, right? And yes, I know, good girl. And you just go, come here, that's a good girl,
She's hearing
that's a good
all
boy.
kinds of commands in
Right. So, and then every time a dog comes to you, you go, yes, good girl, and then you give them the treat, and then the other person on the other side of the room go, come here, that's a good girl, come here. And the dog will run over to you very, very excited because you're being very animated with the dog.
Do you work with, and just, because I know these are all things that people can access through your training program. Do you work with children or?
Yes.
Yeah. So if someone has a family dog and wants the kids to understand how to
Yes,
train
definitely.
them,
I really encourage it.
Okay.
I've actually encouraged people who are looking to come look for dogs. They're not sure what type of dog they want, and because I have so many other different dogs, I own 8 dogs.
Yeah.
Wow.
And because they want to know if it's possible, I tell them, yeah, sure, come on. I'll have them come over with the big dogs. I'll have them with the small dogs, just so that they can see the dynamics of, yes, hi, hello, I know. Of, here's your comb, go. Just so that they can see the dynamics of the different types of dogs and how to train your dogs and so on. And the kid actually gets to understand what it means to have a dog.
Yeah.
So I'd have them come in for like a weekend.
Okay.
Where they learn that they have to clean up after the dog, they have to give the dog a bath, they need to feed the dog, they need to take the dog out to use the restroom, and all the work that goes along with it. And a lot of the times the kids go back home, Mommy, I'm not ready for a dog yet. So that kind of settles them down from wanting a dog.
So
Amy,
where do we?
this has been so much fun. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Bibi. Where can people find you?
Yes.
In Belmont Penn.
Okay.
We are right on Reimers' parking. There's a really big lot for Reimers, and we are right across from them in the same lot area.
Okay. And how do people contact you if they can't make it to Belmont to get in touch?
Well, they can contact me. My phone is always with me, and that's on 24/7. We've kind of become the dog control in Belmont to a certain degree. Like if dogs start fighting, people give us a call, and we go in and we help separate the dogs.
Okay.
But they can definitely get me by my cell phone. A lot of the times by my email.
Okay.
So those are the 2 ways that people have been contacting us a lot. And
Can they contact you through Facebook?
yeah, we are updating the Facebook
Okay.
right now. It's just because we haven't had a lot of good feedback through the Facebook. It's mostly by word or people seeing us walk around. You know,
Okay.
that's
The
how
dogs.
the word has been getting out.
And you travel across the country, though. If somebody needs some, okay.
Yes, we actually did one puppy training class where we've had different types of dogs and different types of people come in. I think my youngest student was 7 years old.
Oh.
And he got his pit bull to the point where he can walk his pit bull now without any problem.
Fantastic. All right. Well, Amy, thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
in.
Thank you for having us.
As a young entrepreneur, we can definitely sense your enthusiasm for the work that you do. And of course, it's fun work. You work with dogs. But you're also properly trained to do so. And I think there are a lot of people who perhaps can benefit from the obedience training and all the other trainings that you offer as well. So it's International Working Dog Center in Belmopan. You can find them, and your contact number is
675-5959.
Okay.
Oh, easy.
That's easy.
Yeah, K9.
675-5959.
All right. So you can contact Amy to find out more about how you can learn to train your dog, right? Thank you again, Amy. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, it'll be for our musical guest and the launch of their new videos. Stay tuned.